G'day everyone and welcome to another episode of Baggers Chat. Ethan here to preview our gather round clash against the Adelaide Crows tomorrow night at the Adelaide Oval, 7:40 p.m. This should be an absolute ripper. If both teams are on, I think it should be an absolute cracker. Obviously, looking back to our last result against them, I actually went over to Adelaide last year for that game. I think it was round 19 or round 20. I think it was round 20, round 20. And, it was a very, very interesting experience. Not the most fun experience, copping it from Crow supporters and that, just due to our terrible performance that night. But hopefully we can turn it around, and hopefully we've matured since that performance last year. So I'll get straight into the injury update. So obviously we've had some pretty bad news over the last couple of days, and obviously yesterday came out that Sam Doherty is unfortunately going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks with a meniscus tear, which is very unfortunate for a guy who's been through so much over the last few years, last 4 or 5 years. Obviously going through setbacks with his knee, had 2 ACLs, and then obviously having periods of cancer, which is just terrible. But he's the one guy I know that will not give up, and he'll be raring to go in 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks time. So hope the recovery goes quick, Doc, because we definitely need you, mate. You've been playing some fantastic footy. He provides that kind of difference for us when he can go back, and then he can also go through the midfield. But just continuing on with the injury updates, Sam Walsh, this is the man we've been waiting for. He's available for selection, so it's definitely a massive positive for us. I think our midfield need a bit of energy brought into it. I know we haven't lost a game this year, but our mids have definitely been a little bit off for the entirety of it. We haven't played 4 quarters. They haven't strung together 4 quarters, and Walsh will definitely contribute massively. Trained fully this week, so expecting him to be his name to be called upon about 6 p.m. today. I think this video will go out about midday on the Wednesday, so I'll probably upload it just before the selection. So, and then more injury updates. Matty Kennedy, Mitch McGovern, and Jack Martin all trained fully, which is fantastic, and are all available for selection, which is huge. I think McGovern just had a cork, which is why he was ruled out. Well, not ruled out, but he was subbed out in last week's game against North. Kennedy's obviously had that calf soreness for the last couple of weeks, which I think has been more precautionary than anything. And Jack Martin's obviously had his recurring issues with his calf continue. So hopefully those guys are ready. But I think McGovern and Kennedy will be the ones that suit up this weekend. Another story, another positive, I guess. Harry Mackay's suspension was downgraded to a fine. Common sense prevails, which is, I think, realistically, I don't think it was deserving of a suspension. It's a massive in for us, I think. Without him, obviously, you'd only have Kerner up front, probably with TDK as well, so you could probably do it. But having those 2 tall forwards in there after the game they played last Friday night is incredibly important for us. And I was really worried about that one. I thought it might have stayed as a suspension. It looked like it was going to stay as it, but the arguments that they brought forward, the Blues team brought forward, were fantastic. And obviously, Harry's been downgraded to a fine, and he'll be suiting up against the Crows on Thursday night. Just touching on some names I've touched on just a few minutes ago. Potential inclusions, obviously, for mine, these are the inclusions. Walsh, Kennedy, Akers, obviously coming back from his suspension, but he's recovering from his pec injury. And this is a big one. With Doc coming out, there's going to have to be a defender from the twos coming through. And obviously with Boyd out, who would probably be the straight swap. I think it could be another debutant. It's going to be. I think it's going to be Alex Chincotta. I think he's, obviously been playing well in the twos. I think he didn't play round one because he was an emergency, but round two he had, I believe, 35 touches against the Giants twos, and then last weekend had 25. But another guy who's been, knocking the door of selection is Lockie Plowman. And, he's had, I think, 28 plus for the first three rounds of the VFL season. So for me, Plowman's definitely, worthy of getting a spot, but I think Chincotta is probably that more suitable to that Doherty role. I think that's why we kind of brought him in as that last in that last list spot. So I think it could be another debutant, which is exciting, and it's going to be a big one. The start of the first gather round ever in the AFL, and against the Crows at Adelaide Oval, it's never an easy task. So it'd be good for him to debut for the Mighty Blues. We'll just move on to the line groups, talking about each side, key pillars down there. And, you look at Adelaide forward line, it's looking extremely dangerous. Obviously, Tex is still playing some great footy. I think he kicked 3 or 4 on the weekend against the Dockers. Riley Thilthorpe is showing why he was such a highly touted pick. Obviously, you've got Gallant, he's been playing all right for them. In that forward line, he fits very, very nicely. And then obviously, Fogarty being injured the last few weeks. I'm not entirely sure if he's going to be back to face us tomorrow night. But you look at their forward line, it's dangerous. Then you've also got the smalls in Isaac Rankin, who's one of the most exciting players, and obviously another guy in Josh Rochelle, who's been superb as well. But you look at the keys with Walker and Thilthorpe. I think they're pretty good matchups for our defence. I think Lewis Young, Wiedering was probably one of their best games as a duo against North. I know Larkey was kind of underdone, especially at the start of the game with an injury with his knee or hip. He looked extremely underdone, but they both worked well together and just showing why they're starting to become one of the better defensive duos in the competition. It's showing why we've really backed in Lewis Young to be that kind of second defender behind Wiedering, and it's just fantastic to see. But Tex Walker's always decent against us. He always kicks a few goals, and Thilthorpe is one to watch out, him rotating from the ruck into the forward line. So they're definitely dangerous up there. And then who takes Rankin and Rochelle? We've probably got the right guys for them. Obviously, Nick Newman will take... I'd imagine he'd take one of them. He's been very, very good against these small forwards. And then you've always got Sardi and Cowan who can take them on as well. So we've definitely got the players and, to be able to stop these guys, but it's going to be incredibly hard. The way they, kick goals out of midair, and they're just great small forwards. And it's just showing why Rankin's on the big bucks at Adelaide, and he's seriously proving that. But yeah, it'll be interesting down there. But I'll move on to the midfield. Obviously, it's exciting to have one extra name in there in our midfield group. Obviously, you have Cripps, Kennedy, Hewitt, and Chera in that midfield group. But now you also have Sammy Walsh coming in for his first game of season 2023, which is going to be enormous for our midfield, just providing energy and run. It's going to be very exciting to see him and Ollie Hollins, who will run the furthest, because they're both incredible runners. But for the Crows, obviously they've got some older heads in Laird and Sloan, but their skipper, he's been moving into the midfield, Jordan Dawson. I think he had 27 disposals, 26 effective last week. Any Supercoach owners listing, you definitely know how good his game was. I think it was 173 points that he had in Supercoach. He's been superb. I think he had this third highest set of hours attendances last weekend, and obviously started the season at half-back, which is his usual position. And obviously you have Ben Keys, who's incredibly solid, and since coming over from the Lions to the Crows. So you look at those midfields, if there's a problem if we're losing this, I think. I think with those 5 guys, Cripps, Walsh, Hewitt, Chera, and Kennedy in the side, we really should be winning The clearance numbers. Obviously, we've found different ways to win games, which is a massive positive. If one thing isn't working, we're not just heavily reliant on our stoppage game and our clearance game like we kind of were last year for the most part. But um, yeah, honestly, we should be winning this. Obviously, Sloan, Dawson, Laird, they're all great on their day. Keys is solid, but if we're being serious, we really need to be winning that battle, and it's going to be incredibly important. We get first use and getting into our forwards 1-on-1, which was crucial in that second half against North Melbourne. Lastly, on the midfield, do we target Jordan Dawson? Really depending on the personnel we have out there. I think if Ed Curnow is dropped for Kennedy or Walsh, you probably play maybe a Hewitt on him. He's getting off a leash a bit, but I think we just play to our strengths and try to win the footy first and get on top there early rather than playing defensively and tagging. So we'll move up forward. Obviously, we've got our two key pillars in Harry and Charlie. There's no much talk about them. Don't have to talk about that much. Two superstars. It's fantastic. Harry's going to be out there on the weekend. Had a fantastic game against North Melbourne, but hopefully he builds into that. And obviously Charlie's second in the Coleman, just behind Jeremy Cameron, who's having a superb year as well. So they're key backs. A little bit of an experience. Similar to defensive. They've got a similar defensive, like a back six to last year when we lost to them. I thought there was just real issues when we played them. When we had our three talls, obviously with TDK, there was just no spacing. And they really just had no flow going. That game was, you just want to forget that game. But on the weekend, there was really good spacing and movement from both Harry and Charlie. They're willing to push up the ground, giving one or the other space. And obviously, Harry kicking 4 and Charlie kicking 6 just shows that. But if we can't deliver to these guys well enough, they're just not going to have enough impact on the game. I think the first half against North Melbourne, we just weren't feeding it in enough or quick enough. I think it's about pace for us. I think if we get inside 50 real quick rather than taking on that extra short kick or extra handball, we need these guys one-on-one because they're barely losing one-on-ones. And I think it's going to be another important game against two blokes who are inexperienced in a way. And also important games from our two smalls. It's going to be massive down the other end with Rochelle and Rankin. Their impact on the game will definitely determine how close it is or if they go on to win. So Durds and Motts have been fantastic, and I'm expecting another big game out of those two, while Owies is out as well. So that's it for all the line talk. I'll get straight into my match predictions. This is going to be a very, very kind of special match prediction, I believe. The best on ground will be Sam Walsh. In his first game, I know that's a lot of pressure on the guy. Hopefully he just comes back and seamlessly fits in, but he's the type of guy to do it and have 35 in his first game. He's not human. He's a special player to us, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do on tomorrow night. Point of difference. Obviously, we have a point of difference every week. Maybe players that aren't talked about enough, but all players you really think are going to have an impact massively. And a point of difference is going to be Alex Chincotta, if selected to debut. I just think it's, I don't know, with new players, sometimes other teams can't really read them right. And I think with the way he's been playing in the twos, especially last year and the start of this year, he's got that penetrating kick. He's got a bit of size about him. His defensive work's good. So I think he can really finish that Doc role for the next few weeks while Doc's out. So hopefully he does have a debut, and I wish him all the best. But this is my winner of margin. It's never easy, the Adelaide Oval, for any side. And obviously they've won the last two, won quite convincingly last week against the Dockers, and obviously beating the Power, which both teams are okay. Obviously they're starting off struggling a little bit, but I think it's going to be the Carlton Blues by 17 points. I think it's going to be a tough battle for most of the game, but I think we're going to get up and get the chocolates and go to 4.5-0 and heading into that big Saints clash next Sunday at Marvel Stadium. If you enjoyed the video, smash the like button, follow us on all social medias, Obviously, we've got Instagram, Facebook. If you aren't able to watch this on YouTube, chuck it on Spotify if you drive home or drive to work. Hopefully it's a ripper, and hopefully the Blues get up tomorrow night. Hope you all have a great week and weekend, and up the Baggies.